these areas without disrupting operations?
I think they can delegate and then actually bring that outside help in so that they can focus on what they do really well, continue to run the business from the day-to-day operation, and then allow for us to do this quietly in the background and then present the value of what has been uncovered for them rather quickly.
So thinking around short-term versus long-term thinking, why do CEOs underestimate the compounding impact of small leaks?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Sam. For me, I think small leaks, they feel insignificant,
Mhm.
if we isolate them, which is why they're not typically tolerated, but what CEOs like don't often consider is the compound effect, right? They may understand that for their business, but for the actual operations, I think it's kind of brushed over. So a few percentage points of just unnecessary costs year after year really limits their ability to invest and hire or expand and actually withstand a lot of the downturns that they may experience. So I think some of those hidden costs, they quietly restrict what I would call strategic flexibility or being agile. And so when those margins are thinner than they should be, a lot of that growth may feel riskier, or investments may get delayed, or other decisions that are made cautiously instead of doing it confidently.
Mhm.
So it seems pretty obvious, right? But
Yeah.
I would ask, what are the motives of board members or the investors, right? They want to get their money out at a much higher multiple as quickly as possible. So we're now talking about opportunity cost. So if we can identify proactive cost management from the CEO instead of cutting, it's about preserving optionality and opportunity. So when a profit margin is stronger, the strategy behind it becomes even more bold.
And how do hidden costs limit long-term strategic options?
Um, I think a lot of it is really how quickly they want to scale. And if you do have the right partners in the right seats on the bus, then it allows you to experience that hockey stick effect, right? A lot of business owners don't typically consider that. But, if CEOs, board members, or investors knew what FinServe360 could actually do for them, they'd already be doing it. If anyone's in the process of, preparing to sell or putting together even a, 2, 3, 5 year exit strategy, that's one of those areas that's wise to bring us in for a profit recovery audit, because every dollar that we're recovering in profit
Mhm.
compounded over 3 to 5 years in lieu of exiting at a specific multiple in their respective industry. Like, we literally just maximize the opportunity at time of exit instead of focusing on just sales and growth. We're focusing on the little leaks that make a substantial difference.
And so what does proactive cost management look like at the CEO level?
Um, Honestly, it's identifying just those areas of the business and functionality that they haven't looked at in a while, and or just don't even know are available. So I would say it's really just having an open mind to say, okay, well, what else is out there, right? Some CEOs come in, maybe they're hired internally, and they're kind of next in line. Other CEOs have started from the ground up, and they feel that what's gotten them from point A to point B will continue to get them to point C. But in reality, we have to evolve out of the same stuff that got us from A to B is not going to get us from B to C. And so I think that they just have to get out of their own way to
Mhm.
allow for some other strategic relationships to come into play and have a conversation about it.
Oh, so why does the lack of clarity undermine strategic decisions?
Uh, just speed to success. I think it undermines it because they are not making rapid enough decisions or exploring those things that could actually be creating a better efficiency. A lot of us have this, we've always done it this way mentality.
Mhm.
And so that's true. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. I understand. But at the same time, that's actually putting a governor and throttling you back on what you're looking to actually do in your business. And so I think they just have to get out of their own way in order to make that happen.
So what changes? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'd say a little bit of a slice of humble pie, if you will. You know, a lot of people aren't. It's their baby, and I don't want to call anyone's baby ugly, right?
Mhm.
Like, I am very proud of what people have been able to do in their business. However, if they knew about one little tweak, it could take them to a next level opportunity and really help them scale quite rapidly.
Definitely. So what changes when CEOs have a clearer financial picture?
Um, I think when they get clarity, true clarity
Mhm.
into cost structure, decision making really accelerates. I think a lot of growth stops feeling more like speculative and it starts feeling more calculated. So instead of wondering whether margins could support an investment, they actually have concrete evidence it can, right? And there's a lot of people that are numbers guys or gals, right? They want to see the numbers, um, and so if that's the case, then we need to take a look, because I think a clearer financial picture doesn't just come by way of improved reporting, but it actually changes your posture as a business in the market and in a competitive way as well. So I'd say your expansion becomes more intentional. Your hiring decisions and firing, they feel more grounded. A lot of those strategic moves are made from the strength instead of just kind of cautious. So a lot of that clarity reduces some hesitation and unlocks, that opportunity cost we were just talking about. So I want to add one quick note on that as well. And I think one of the other things that we have seen consistently is that once hidden costs are uncovered and simplified, we're not as tied to it emotionally. A lot of that weight is lifted off. And so CEOs stop solving for a lot of the symptoms that they're seeing. They start operating from a position of control. And so their confidence increases. And that's not just because of revenue that it suddenly spiked and they had a great month, but because uncertainty is taken out of the equation. So just my
So,
thoughts.
yeah. So how does shining the light on hidden costs restore CEO confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I think it gives them that boost and revigoration, right? They're more excited about what's to come. Um, it's just one of those stresses. I mean, I can't tell you how many CEOs or just entrepreneurs in general I've talked to who have said, I'm not sure I'm going to make it next month, or, oh, I remember those days. Um, there was a lack of confidence in, the cash flow at that point, it sounds like, but they had the confidence and belief in themselves to go to that next stage. So we want to reduce the frequency of how often that may occur within a CEO's mind or a CFO's, what's on their plate every quarter, every year when they review the numbers and where they're headed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been great. I really appreciate you sharing your insights. As we wrap up today's session, there's one takeaway that matters most. Profitability doesn't have to come from sacrifice. What we've discussed today shows that many of the pressures CEOs feel, chasing revenue harder, delaying investments, making uncomfortable trade-offs, are often the result of profit that's leaking quietly below the surface. When those hidden costs remain invisible, leaders are forced to solve the problem. Solve really the wrong problem. The good news is that once those costs are uncovered, they become immediate leverage. At FinServe360, we call this profit recovery, reclaiming what's already inside your business and using it to strengthen margins, fund growth, and make decisions with confidence instead of caution. I want to thank you, Colin, again for sharing your insights today, and thank you all for joining us. If today's conversation sparked questions about what hidden profit might exist inside your own organization, I encourage you. I highly encourage you. Okay, to connect with Colin and the FinServe360 team to schedule a confidential consultation. We hope that you'll join us on our next session in our CEO series. Until then, thank you, and here's to a clearer insight, stronger margins, and profitability without pain.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Colin, likewise.